Chapter 1 of Deliver Me from Eva by Paul Bailey. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Ben Tucker. To myself, and the life that is slowly loosening my skull plates. The author has never met anyone remotely suggestive of the characters in this book, and he truthfully hopes he never will. Chapter 1. When I carried my bride across my room's doorsill at the San Francisco Argonaut, the world that was known to me stood still. The lilting joy of the day sang through me in pulsing wonder. Like a fire burst from the infinite, this woman had come into my life, and the prize I carried through that doorway would have stirred the envy of any man. For a moment the bellboy tarried in poised expectancy, until convinced of no intention on my part to abandon Eva in search for a coin. Smiling flippantly, he pulled shut the door behind us and was gone, and I was alone with my bride in my arms. "Happy?" I asked, giving her lithe, warm body a possessive squeeze. She nuzzled her face to my cheek, and in all the vibrancy of the voice that had captivated me said, "Oh, Mark, isn't it strange and wonderful?" The words broke off in a little chuckle of joy that sent desire rocketing through me. I stood Eva to the floor. I held her at arm's length. Covetously I studied the queenly perfection of her honey-colored hair beneath the gay little hat. An instant later I'd crushed her in an embrace which left both of us weak. "Now we'll have to find our way around," I said, contritely leading her to the best chair. "We've discouraged and disgusted the bellboy." "We'll manage," she chuckled throatily. I took our hats and the jacket to her gray tailored suit, and marveled at her trim composure in face of the awesome wonder of the moment. Magnitude of the step, and returning plagues of conscience for my betrayal of Edith Brinkley, had commenced jabbing remorselessly, and the breathtaking suddenness of my conquest of Eva Craner held within it an ever-deepening sense of mystery. A knock at the door steadied and sobered my thoughts, and I quickly shoved our wraps into the alcove closet. "I imagine they've brought our luggage," I suggested. "If you've any doubts or questions concerning the bridal suite, now's your chance to make them known." Ava's answer was in the rippling gaiety of her laughter. Gracefully and abruptly she sauntered through the alcove to her bedroom. Still zestfully alive to our adventure, I opened the door. The grinning bellboy had returned with my leather Gladstone and Ava's 2 small overnight cases. Behind him was the Argonaut's dark-suited and smiling manager, and a gawky maid. The boy dropped the cases to the floor, and the manager stood respectfully silent while my 50-cent piece at last crossed the young man's palm. After the boy's jaunty nod and quick exit, the maid turned to open the windows and straightening curtains. The manager diligently smirked. "May we take the cases to her chamber, Mr. Allard?" he asked. "I'll care for them," I suggested. "I think Mrs. Allard would rather not be disturbed." The manager's smile was too obsequious and knowing to suit me. "Should you have any needs," he wheedled, "do not hesitate to ask. The maid will remain to help you get settled. We want our guests to feel entirely at home. Perhaps you'd care for dinner served in your rooms?" "We've had dinner." "Everything, then, is all right?" "All right," I willingly agreed. After a "thank you, sir," and a final smirk, the Argonaut's manager sidled from my presence. I heard Ava conversing to the maid in low and earnest tones as I carried our bags to the chamber. Like a big, self-conscious oaf, I nervously towed the rug and gaped around the frilled and dainty room, while the maid acquainted my bride with closets, faucets, and towels. I was the miser counting gold as my covetous eyes weighed the contrast between the spindly, flat-chested maid and the soft curves, round calves, and cone-like breasts of the woman who was now mine to cherish. How could my other love have survived? It all seemed so unbelievably strange that I, Mark Allard, conservative partner of Allard and Brinkley, and betrothed to Brinkley's daughter Edith, should find myself married to a woman I'd known less than 3 days. Of my bride's antecedents or social standing I knew nothing, and cared nothing. My torrid courtship of Eva Craner had beginnings in the dining car of the Daylight Limited, while I was en route from Los Angeles on a routine business call. The diner had been crowded. The steward had tendered Ava the other half of my table, and from that moment I had shamelessly given myself to the chase. No matter what Eva Craner stood for, no matter who or what she was, I'd wanted her from the instant of her first casual word. I'd stared at the most unearthly beauty of her slightly elongated and intelligent face, the indescribable charm of her smile, and the faultless symmetry of her being, and I'd sworn, though the fires of hell consume me, the woman would be mine. Ava's touch on my arm ended retrospection and turned me with startled suddenness. She smiled at my nervous alarm. "Dearest, we're alone now," she said. The maid's gone?" I stammered. "Didn't you hear her go?" "I was thinking." "Of what?" she said quickly. "About us," I smiled, and took her again in my arms. "Why, I scarcely know you, and yet you've chained me like a slave." "You're my earthly answer," she whispered mysteriously. "I've known it from the first." I pondered the oddity of her statement as I held her tightly in upon me. "You've never met another man you could love?" "Not in fleshly reality." "God," I lustily moaned, staring fascinated at the slight cleft in her sharp-angled little chin and the hungering contour of her red-petaled lips. "Tell me, Ava, where have you been? How could a flower like you stay out of the clutches of men? You're more beautiful, more desirable than anything I've ever known."
"I know,"
she said simply. I released my passionate hold upon her, blinked at her amazing self-assurance, and drew her to the bedside. "Tell me, Ava, how did all this happen? I mean, our meeting, our marriage."
"Our moment had arrived, Mark. I knew I would meet you. I chose you when I saw you."
"But didn't I do a bit of the choosing?"
"Our moment had arrived," she repeated.
I mulled in wonder over the little I knew of my bride, mostly the information necessary to the license application. She was 21. Her father was a Pasadena doctor of some sort. She had spoken vaguely of a brother. In turn, she had evidenced not the slightest concern regarding my family, my profession, or our future economic status as man and wife. "At college, did you have no love affairs?" I probed.
"I attended no college. I've had no formal schooling."
"Private tutors?"
She nodded. "My father and Margot and Castleman, sole teachers, and good ones for my brother Osmond and myself."
"And a splendid job they did," I enthusiastically complimented. "Osmond's older, I take it?"
"By 1 year. Father is readying him for his debut as a concert pianist."
I shook my head in fresh wonder. "Your Dr. Father appears to be a most capable and brilliant soul." Ava tilted her chin. Her gray-green eyes flashed pride.
"My father is a master of all things," she said. "Truly, my father is a great man."
I cocked eyebrows with surprise and stared. "I'm happily anticipating our return," I bravely replied. "I'm anxious to meet your gifted father and brother."
"They'll be waiting for us, dear Mark."
And she tenderly pressed my arm as if to bolster my uncertain courage. "I hope your father is not too disappointed in me."
"Dearest Mark," she whispered, "all things concerning us are known and agreeably anticipated. As my husband, you're of us, and you'll be received with a welcome and with joy."
I sighed my relief, tossed misgivings aside, and folded Ava once more to my arms. "I'm wiring the townhouse tomorrow," I whispered. "I'll tell them I'm bringing home a bride. They'll turn my apartment upside down to have it ready."
"We shan't live there,"
she declared, struggling free from the kiss I'd given her.
"Our home is finished. It's a beautiful thing, Mark. You'll love it."
I stopped, abashed by her self-assurance. "Where, for Lord's sake?"
"In Pasadena, on my father's estate. You'll be amazed, and you'll be happy."
"Wait a minute," I said, my pride suddenly repelling at the smug sureness of her stand. "I'm not exactly poor, Ava. I married you, and I intend to support you without dowry, without assistance."
"You'll understand everything, Mark dear, when you see it. There's certainly no occasion for your pride to suffer. My father will convince you."
"Just the same," I affirmed, "I'm wiring the townhouse."
"As you please, Mark," she said sweetly, "but you'll never find occasion to use that apartment."
She kissed me, and glory beat new wings in my breast.
"Now," she said, "I must ask you to retire from my chamber."
"Bashful?" I teased.
Not that, Mark. I've my own little private ritual. When you come to me, I'll have changed to the soft silk of night. I'll receive you, my husband, in 30 minutes. And in bed.
I looked at her again, and whistled my amazement. The sultry kiss I gave her was the undeniable flag of my surrender. With neither hope nor desire for deliverance, I walked from the bride who had stolen me. End of chapter 1.